onto our heels. We'll pull those shoulders back. We'll lift our hearts, tuck our tail just a little bit, open up in that low back, and then breathe into that belly. When we touch, it shouldn't give way like a jello mold. Nice and sturdy. Breathing deeply. Good. And then inhale. We'll just lengthen in the spine just a little bit more. Still sinking down into the heels. Tuck our chin just a little bit. Then exhale, we'll just take our chin over to one side. And then back to the center and over to the other side. Breathing into our bellies, lengthening in the spine, and back to the center. And then with our breath, exhale to the side, inhale to the center, exhale to the side, inhale to the center. Just moving gently side to side. Connecting our breath and our movement. Good. One more to each side. And then back to the center. Inhale, lengthen, and we'll go over to the right and then lower our chin down toward that shoulder. Good. And back to the center and over to the left. First look past the shoulder and then lower down. Check out our freckles today. Good. And back to the center and then just kind of wiggle it out. Continuing to breathe into our tummies as we inhale. We're just going to lift our hands and come all the way up off of our heels. Lengthen from our knees to our fingers, tucking those tails, lifting the hearts, dropping the shoulders. And exhale, we'll come down. Inhale, we'll come up. And exhale, falling down. Good. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Lifting, stretching our whole front body. And lowering down. Good. Let's do a couple more. And exhaling back down to our heels. Inhale, let's just lift the hands up high. Still sitting on our heels, and now we'll just move ourselves over to one side, get that side body, and try not to turn our shoulders, keeping our shoulders stacked. And back up to the top. Exhaling over to the other side. Good. Inhaling up. And now just a couple of times, side to side, swaying in the breeze. Let's do one more to each side so we're all on the same page. And back up to the top. Exhale, let's come down to a child's pose. Hips are low, we sink our chests down, arms are out in front of us. Good, from here, we inhale, walking our fingers a little bit further, and then around over to one side. And back to the center. And around to the other side. And back to the center. One full breath here. Good. Hands plant on the floor right in front of us. We'll tuck our toes underneath of our hips. We'll stretch out those feet a little bit. The other direction, really flexing those feet. And then lifting our butts up off of the floor. We're just going to walk our way forward into a forward fold. Up onto our feet, hanging the head. Swaying side to side. Good. And then deeply bending the knees, rounding in the spine. We'll slowly, slowly, slowly round and roll all the way up to standing. Pulling the shoulders back, lifting the hearts, reaching our fingers down toward the floor, activating our hips, our glutes, softening the knees, pressing into the floor with our feet, lifting from the top of our head, making ourselves nice and tall and strong mountains. Good. Inhaling, lifting those hands high. Exhale, little cactus arms, lifting the chest. Tiny back bend here. And back up to the top. And exhaling, forward folding. Good. Rolling our way up. Arms come high. Little cactus arms. Tiny back bend. And coming up. Folding forward. Good. Rolling our way up. Hands come high. Let's do one more. Tiny back bend. Coming on up. And then folding forward, hanging here. Good. And bending the knees, rolling our way up to our mountain pose, hands to our sides. Chest is high. Good. And now from here, we'll heel, toe, our feet a little bit wider than our hips. Inhale, lifting our hands up high. We'll do some sun and moon flowers. So as we exhale, bending the knees, sitting down into our squat, elbows come down to our ribs, opening up that chest. Good. Inhaling up. And exhaling, we come down. Paying attention to the alignment of our knees. We're not coming forward in front of our toes. We're not going out. We're trying to stay right over those ankles as we inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Take deep breaths. Let's do one more. Exhaling down. Inhaling up this time. As we fall forward, our arms go big and wide, and then we hinge at the hips as if we are to gather up a big bundle of sunflowers. Exhaling into that squat and then hinging at the hips. Lifting with our whole body, exhaling down, lifting high. Let's do one more. Exhaling down. Good. Lifting up into a starfish, opening wide. Good. And then exhale, palms will point to the sky, elbows to our ribs, and we'll sit down into that squat. Nice, tall chests, low butts. Good, bringing our hands to our hearts, pressing into the palms, sinking down into that lunge just a little bit further. Good, and inhaling all the way up. Pointing our toes right in front of us, hinging at the hips. Let's fold forward, a little wide-legged forward fold here. Good. Softening the knees, inhaling, we come up. Good. And exhaling, folding forward again. Hands come right underneath of our shoulders here. Bit of a flat back, pressing into the floor with both of our feet. And keeping our left hand on the floor, right underneath of our shoulder, we're going to lift up the right hand to the sky. And exhaling, we'll come down. Second side, right hand stays on the floor, left hand comes up. And back down. Good. And then we can lower that chest, relax the arms. And then slowly heel toe. We'll bring our feet back underneath of our hips. Softening the knees, and we'll slowly come up to standing. Exhale to our mountain pose. Good. Inhaling, lifting to the sky. Exhale, little back bend, cactus arms. Inhaling up. And exhale, swan diving down to our fold. Let's go up to a half lift. So inhaling, hands can come to our shins or to the floor. Looking forward for a flat back, long legs. And exhaling, we fold down. Hands find the floor. We'll step back with our left foot into our lunge. First lunge of the day probably, so wiggle our way into it. Good. And then when we're ready, right hand comes up for an easy twist. And back down. Good. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Again, work our way into it. Wiggle our tails. Pedal the feet. Press each of those little fingers into the floor, pulling our shoulders away from the wrists. Good. Inhaling, we'll come forward to our plank. Plank can be on our toes or on our knees. Pressing into the floor still with those fingers, opening up behind us in those shoulders. As we exhale, chests come forward, elbows go back as we lower our whole body in one big strong piece. Down to the floor, all the way down. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. From here, as we inhale, our chests come forward and then up into our baby cobra. Good, lowering those chests down, pressing into the floor, tucking our toes. Let's go back to our downward facing dog. Settling the feet. Good, lifting that left leg up high. And we'll step forward into our lunge. And then when we're ready, stepping forward with the right into our fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we lower down. Inhaling all the way up to the top. Good, little back bend here, cactus arms. And inhaling up, swan diving down to our fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling, folding. And now this time, stepping back with the right foot into our lunge. Wiggling our way into that pose, finding our knee over our ankle. This right foot is pressing back behind to lengthen and activate that back leg. Good, right hand will stay on the floor, and then we open up to the left. Good, and down to the floor with our hands, and then we'll step back to our downward facing dog. Pedal it out, wiggle our tails. Good, inhaling, we'll come forward to our plank. Exhale, lowering down. And then inhale, we can go to our baby cobra, or if we would like, we can come up to our upward facing dog. It is your choice, always. Good. And back to our downward facing dog. Good, lifting that right leg up high. We'll step forward into our lunge. Good, and then we'll step with our left to meet the right into our forward fold. Good, inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. And bending the knees, rising up. All the way up, hands to the sky. Good, exhale, mountain pose. Pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart. Good. Inhaling, we lift high. Exhale, little back bend here, cactus arms, really opening up the shoulders. Inhaling up. And now knees and thighs come together as we sit down into our chair. Good, inhaling up. Exhaling down into our chair one more time. Inhaling, we come up. And now exhaling, folding forward. Bending our knees enough so that we can find our hands to the floor, even if it's just our fingertips. And then when we're ready, walking our hands around to the outside of this right foot. Good, and back to the center. Again, hands find the floor, and we'll walk around to the left foot. And back to the center. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Stepping back with the left foot into our lunge. Good. Right hand comes up. Little twist. Good, and back down. Finding our balance, inhale to a high lunge. Good, right hand goes back behind, left hand comes forward, opening up to the right, sinking down into that lunge, activating that long left leg, breathing into our bellies, relaxing the shoulders. Lots of things to think about. And back up to the top. Good, and now let's open up to warrior two. Dropping the left heel out to a 90-degree angle, bending that right knee. Opening our shoulders to the left this time. Opening our lower back by tucking our tails. Lowering the shoulders, lifting the head. And then we gaze just beyond the right fingers. Feeling the heat building up in our legs. Good, now reverse warrior, lifting that right hand up to the sky. And all the way down to our lunge. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Good, inhale, we come forward into our plank, holding our plank nice and strong. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tucking our toes, lifting our hips, downward facing dog. Good, now we'll lift that left leg up behind us, pressing the heel back, pointing both hips down toward the floor. And now, as we come forward, we're going to bring that knee into our chest, hover in plank, and then press back to three-legged dog. Inhale forward, hover in plank, pressing back, three-legged dog. Good. And now we're going to take this left foot and we're going to step halfway between our feet and our hands. We'll point the toes out to the left. Our right hand will stay on the floor. Left hand will open ourselves up. And we'll turn those hips to the left. So it's kind of a funky half side plank. We want to sink that right hip down to the floor. Lift the ribs. We should feel a nice outer hip stretch on the right side. Some rotation in the left. Good, and slowly we'll come back to three-legged dog. And then stepping all the way forward into our lunge. Beautiful, stepping with our right to our fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. Inhaling all the way up high. Exhale, little back bend, cactus arms, pulling those shoulders back, opening the chest nice and wide. Inhaling up. Knees and thighs together, sitting down into our chair. Good, from here, let's bring those arms back behind us. Good. Hands come up. Butts are low, chests are high, butts are low, chests are high, and stomach is really, really strong. and then forward folding. Beautiful job. Bending our knees so that our fingers can find the floor. We'll walk around to the left this time. If we're happy here, we stay here. If we would like, we can also lift up that left hand up to the sky. And we'll lower back down, walk around to the center, one breath here. And then when we're ready, walking ourselves around to the right. Checking in with our necks and our shoulders, that we're not holding a whole lot of tension in there. If we're happy here, please stay here. If we would like, we can lift up that right hand. And back down, around to our forward fold. Release the hands, release the head, and just hang for 1 or 2 full breaths here. Next inhale, let's lift to a flat back. Exhale, we'll go back down, stepping back with our right foot into our lunge. Right hand stays on the floor, left hand comes up. And back down. Finding our balance and our strength, we lift up to our high lunge. Left hand reaches back behind us, right hand comes forward. We open ourselves up to the left. And back up to the top. And now we open up warrior 2. Take some time, settle into the pose. Left leg is nice and bent over our ankle. Our right leg is strong behind us. Hips are open to the right. Shoulders are open and relaxed. Gazing just beyond our left fingers. And now lowering the right hand, lifting the left for reverse warrior. Bringing both hands down to our lunge. We'll step back to our downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Inhale, we'll come forward, holding our plank. Three, 2, 1. We'll lower ourselves down. And then we inhale to our choice of back bend. Cobra, upward facing dog. Tucking our toes, lifting our hips to our downward facing dog. Let's lift that right leg back behind us. Turning our hips down toward the floor. Flexing the foot, pressing the heel back behind us. And then as we inhale, bringing that knee into our chest, hovering in plank. And then exhale, pressing ourselves back to three-legged dog. Good, let's do that 2 more times. Inhaling forward, hovering in plank. Exhaling back. Last time, inhaling forward. Pressing back. And now for that goofy side plank. So stepping that right foot out to halfway, that halfway mark, turning the toes toward the right. Left hand will stay underneath of our shoulders as we open up our way to the right, lifting the right hand to the sky, sinking that left hip down to the floor. Breathing into this left arm to be strong. One more breath, we can do it. Good, and slowly we'll bring that right hand back to the floor, stepping back three-legged dog with that right foot, and we'll come forward into our lunge. And then to our fold with our left. Hang here. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. And slowly, we bend those knees, we round in the spine, and we roll one vertebra at a time. Stacking, stacking, all the way up until the last thing that moves is our head. Palms point forward, shoulders pull back and down. Inhaling, hands come all the way up and they come together at the top. Exhale, let's take those arms over to the left. Inhale, we come back up, lengthen, relax those shoulders and the neck as we exhale over to the right. Inhaling, we come back up to the top. Hands stay together, knees and thighs come together. As we sit down into our chair, hands come to our hearts in prayer. Press into those palms to keep the shoulders open, the chest nice and high. We curve that pelvis just a little bit so as to not put undue stress on the low back. As we exhale, we sink a little bit lower, rise our hearts a little bit higher. Millimeters is progress, guys. And when we're ready, we're lengthening on that inhale, and then we're going to take this left elbow over to the right thigh. One more inhale. Stay through the exhale. And then forward fold, releasing the arms. And we'll step back with that left foot. And we'll come all the way up to warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Lifting the hand up to the sky, sinking those hips down toward the earth. And now we'll go into triangle pose. So straightening that right leg, sassing our left hip back behind us, reaching forward with the right fingers until we can't reach anymore. Keeping this nice and long in our ribs, we just drop the arm, lift up the left. Pressing into the floor with both of our feet, pushing down and then lifting in our legs. So we're going in opposite directions all the way through our body. Our left hip is reaching one direction. Our head is reaching the other direction. Our arms are reaching in opposite directions. Good, let's come all the way back up to reverse warrior. Good, to warrior two. And then inhale all the way up to a starfish pose. So turning our bodies out to the left, toes are pointed out in front of, well, in front of us. Good, exhale, wide-legged forward fold here. Dropping the head so we can look through our legs. Good. Gently bending the knees, inhaling our chest up high. Hands come together at the top, and then we'll bring them down to our hearts, and we're going to go toward this left knee, bending the left knee. We'll lift up the right toes for a side lunge. Going as far as your body will allow you to go, no further. We're not going to push ourselves to do something silly like hurt ourselves. Good, and now inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, warrior two. And then slowly we come down to our lunge. From here, our hands will go right in front of our right toes. We'll press into the floor with that right foot as we lift up the left foot for three-point balance. Again, turning this hip down to meet the right. Think of like a coffee cup challenge right here. Putting your coffee cup on your tailbone. Pressing the left hip back behind us. Lengthening all the way through to the top of our head. Good, and then gently lowering that left foot to meet the right. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. And we roll our way up to the top. Hands come together. Exhale, let's go over to the right. Little banana here. Inhaling up, and we'll exhale to the left. Inhaling up, hands stay together. As we sit down into our chair, we bring those hands down to our hearts. Lengthening on this inhale. Exhale, we'll take the right elbow to the left thigh. Good. Other side. And we sink those butts low. We press into the palms and into our thigh with this elbow to open up the shoulders. Inhaling here. stay for the exhale one more time. And then we fold forward. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. And we'll step back with our right foot. When we're ready, coming all the way up to warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, lifting those fingers, sinking the hips. Good. And then working into our triangle. So lengthening this left leg, right hips, put out the vibe, out to the right. We reach forward. More. So that this whole area in our ribs just extends. And when we can't go any further, that's when we just drop the arm. Notice that my ribs didn't move. We lift that right hand up to the sky. Pull the right hip away. Pushing into the floor with both feet. Lifting from the hamstring. Good, and then bending that left knee, lifting our left hand up to reverse warrior. And back to warrior two. Inhale up to our star. Good, exhale, wide-legged forward fold here. Good, bending those knees, lifting our hearts. Hands come up to the sky together at the top. Now we're gonna go over to the right side. So bending that right knee, hands come to the heart. And lift those left toes. Good, inhaling all the way up. Exhale to warrior two, bending the left knee. Good. And now bringing those hands down to the floor. From here, our hands will be to the inside of that left foot. We'll step forward with the right to the outside of our hands here, so we're a little bit wide, and we're gonna lower that butt nice and low into a malasana squat. So our elbows are to the inside of our knees. Our butts are nice and low, our chests are high. Hands can come to our hearts. And we find our breath, moving all the way up into our brains and down into our toes. And then we'll lower those hands to the floor. Walk our way forward so those knees can find the floor. We sit our hips all the way back to our heels. Big exhale into our child's pose. Swishing our feet over to one side so we can find ourselves seated. Rolling onto our backs. Keeping our knees bent over our hips, arms come out to the sides, shoulders relax to the floor. As we exhale, we'll take those knees over to one side. And then if we like, we can bring our gaze over to the other side. So if our knees went to the right, we look off to the left. Good. Inhaling, we bring those knees back to the center. Then we'll exhale them over to the other side. And then inhale, bring those knees into our chest. Roll up into our little ball. Hands and feet come up to the sky. Roll around in our wrists and our ankles. Point and flex, wiggle those fingers, open up and clench the toes. And then reaching with those fingers, pressing with the heels and the toes. And exhale, we slowly lower them down. Our hands come up above our head. Our feet below our hips. Make ourselves as long as we can. Last little bit of our practice. And then a big exhale. Everything releases. Our hands can come to our sides. Our legs relax and our feet fall out to the sides. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. We relax our tongue. We quiet our mind. We allow our bodies to just be. Give ourselves the permission to not do anything. We feel our bellies rise and fall. Our ribs expand as we inhale. We deepen our breath. We wiggle our fingers and our toes. So we slowly bring ourselves back into our space. We give our body what it's asking for right now, whether it be a wiggle or a twist, a stretch or a yawn. Bring our knees into our chest. We'll roll up into a ball and roll onto our side. Take this moment to check in with how we're feeling right now. Hold on to the peace that we have built within us. The connection that we have made with our bodies today. Without disturbing those, we gently help ourselves up to seated. Rising up from our little nap. Inhaling, we lift our hands up to the sky and bringing them together at the top. We exhale them down to our hearts with a purpose. I thank you so much for joining me this morning, for allowing me to help you through your practice. I hope we're feeling even just a little bit better than when we began. I wish you all a very, very happy Thursday, a great rest of your week. Know that we are all pulling for each other. And if you need anything, all you have to do is call me. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each and every one of you. And when we are together, virtually or physically, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jess.
Guys, it's good to see you all.